we had a GA of it on Monday. We had some problems with the downloads. We got more downloads than we expected. We did expect a lot, and then we tried to optimize the site, and of course something went wrong, so it was down for a couple hours. But it's now out, you can actually get it. Here's what I want to talk about. I will try to do things relatively fast, but if you want to know something more in detail, just stop me and I will try to actually talk about the things that will interest you. So, why Maria? I think most people know that I wanted MySQL to survive. I also wanted that the people behind MySQL would have a good place for life. Because the only way that an open source project can die is you lose the developers. And we want to work with all MySQL forks. WebScale SQL was released last week. With Foundation, we think that's a good thing because it gives us another source of patches we can get to MariaDB. I was already talking with Twitter yesterday and said that, hey, how can we collaborate so we don't invent things over and over again, and we actually do things together because we all benefit from it. So I'm working at the Foundation. I originally created Monty from AB to get a home for the developers. That was joined with SkySQL, and just to ensure that what happened with MySQL can never happen again, I created the MariaDB Foundation, which owns 3 parts of the MariaDB trademark: MariaDB.org, MariaDB Foundation, and MariaDB Server. And the server is the important part because that gives us the right to point out this is the official MariaDB version and distribution. Somebody else can do a fork, but this is the official one, and anybody from the community will have access to it, as long as they will become a MariaDB captain, and which has the same rules as any other open source project. That's the way we ensure that whatever happened with SkySQL, who owns the other part of the trademarks and have the developer, MariaDB will survive because the server is secure. You learn from your mistakes. So the goal we have is that increase adoption, work with all the forks, works with anybody who have a need to get their patches into a MySQL version. We are working with them, we are reviewing the code and adding it to MariaDB. And many of the things that are in that zero actually comes from the community. And in most of the cases, actually the Foundation has done the review of the work and added that to MariaDB 10. So we are now 3 full-time developers, including me. I'm doing about 50% of development of my time. We have Sam Phibbs as the CEO. We also have a lawyer. We have one documentation writer who does an amazing job on the knowledge base. The current members have actually made MariaDB 10 zero possible. We are very happy with them. Booking.com, SkySQL have been member for 2 years. Parallels also for 2 years. The new members we have is Automatic, Visma, and Zenimax, who have become members this year. And the thing is that with an open source project, somebody has to pay for the development. And SkySQL is doing a lot of work to do this, but you also need people who work with the community, and the Foundation is doing that. And without these people, it wouldn't be possible to get MariaDB 10 out. So we're extremely happy with them. Somebody else who wants to be on the slide and become a member, actually participate in the community development, contact me. So, more sponsors, but let's go to the interesting parts. So, how many are using MariaDB here? Okay, who isn't? 2. Okay, so I did that. Who is not using MariaDB? Okay, 1, 2. Oh, sorry, you don't count. He's a salesperson. Okay, so then I don't need to tell you the basic things that we are 100% compatible. We intend to be as long as it's possible, at least on disk and on the wire. Because that allows you to always use any MySQL client. Will always work with MariaDB. You will always be able to take the data, put it on MariaDB, just copy it, just replace MySQL. That should always work. And when it comes to syntax, we also always intend to be that. The one thing where we have a problem, which is not huge in my opinion, is that the configuration variables is a little bit different because we have lots more variables, and Oracle is doing things, especially in MySQL Enterprise, things that we have no influence on. So we implement the same features, but we have different configurations because we can do more. So we have done during the last 5 releases, 1 release a year. We are really happy with that, and we plan to continue that. My development team, in this case I talk about the MariaDB engineers, everybody who works on that. They say that they would like to see releases more often, every 6 or 9 months. My belief is that we will try to get it in 9 months and we will succeed in once a year. But people trying to drive for more releases, and actually we are already stable. Forget to update the slide. And we already, actually we were scheduled for in March, we actually made it. And we also are working very closely with Clara to ensure that we have the best multi-master that exists. And the Clara people is just living half an hour from my home, so we see them quite often. And if you're using MariaDB, how many of you has enabled the feedback plugin? If you can, please do, because it goes to the foundation. No salespeople will contact you, but this will provide us with the one critical information we need, the features that you are using. All statistics can be found on that URL, so you can see what other people are using. That will enable you to see that, is this new feature multi-source? How many other people are using it? How many are using version like 10.0? And for us, it's critical when deciding that, hey, we get these patches for these features and these features. Which are more important? We're actually using information that the feedback plugin provides us to decide where we should put efforts for development. So it is actually to help developers to do better decisions. And this is something, one typical slide that you can see. You can see different releases. This was just before 10.0 was released. We update the statistics once a month. So next month we will actually see how many people are switching to 10.0. But already before the GA, about 20% are using 10.0, because feedback doesn't show you what was downloaded, but actually what is in use. And it works by doing show statistics once a week and sending that to our server. You can actually use the feedback plugin and have your own feedback monitor for all your servers internally. All the code is available. The protocol is very, very simple. So you can do your own statistics for your own servers if you have to. So it's very, very low latency and doesn't take any resources from your computer. So here's the things that we added in 5.2. But if all of you already, so which versions of MariaDB are you using? Anybody using 10.0 here? Okay, about 1/5, that's good. So in that case, you need to tell me what is the things that you want to know more about. So we added a lot of things from the community. All the blue things came from the community, and this was before the MariaDB Foundation, so it was actually Monty from AB who adopted those for MariaDB. Today it will be the foundation that will do that. We got a patch for making MyISAM about 2.5 times faster in MariaDB. So for those who like the performance of MyISAM, especially the things that is so easy to move. Of course, MariaDB is the most used storage engine, but both Area and MyISAM has the benefit that it takes little space on disk. You can compress it to get it down to about 1/3 of normal, and you can still access individual rows very, very fast. So this is perfect for doing statistic storage. And we are working with Stanford University, who wants to put 100 petabytes of data in area and basically store that for forever. They're basically taking pictures of all the sky and storing information of all those. And they're going to use area for that, just because it's a format that will not disappear and it's so easy to move around and work with. And you can also generate data on another computer and then copy it. Yes?
The segmented key cache, do you have any recommendation on at what point to start segmenting and how much to segment?
It's just one option that you say how many segments. You usually say that you want to have 100 megs for the key cache, and then you can use 16 segments. The basic what we do, it's basically a simple hash just so we can have 60 mutex on it. And you can change that on the fly and try. So it's pretty easy. We don't have that for area yet, but we want to have that, so that's something on Eagle's able to do. So in 5.2 was getting things from the community, 5.3 was having the optimizer team, the whole optimizer team who moved from MySQL to MariaDB to have something for them to do. So they backported everything from MySQL 6.0 and added 3 man years of work to make the best optimizer in the MySQL ecosystem. And that work was done in 5.3. MySQL has done part of that in 6.0, but not even a fraction of what we have done. So we had a microsecond support way before 5.6, group commit, which is probably the most important features from 5.3. And we have precise GIS operations. You can actually run OpenStreetMap on MariaDB today. I think this is the slide that people actually notice that we're doing something good with MariaDB. The problem is that MySQL doesn't scale, and this is true up to MySQL 5.5 doesn't scale at all as soon as you are running with binary logging and in the DB. So Facebook tried to fix it. They got somewhat better performance, and they contacted us to do it better. And as most of you are using MariaDB, you know that you get about 4 times speed up with a busy master than you get with MySQL. So as soon as this was published, Oracle announced that they will do the same thing in 5.6. Kristen has in 10.0 improved it even more. So no, actually, MySQL 5.6 scales with multiple threads, but you see that even on just a few threads, we are about twice as fast. In the highest pressure, not as much. But we have much simpler code and actually much better code than what they have. So there have been lots of talk about NoSQL, and I believe that the 2 main versions for NoSQL is that replication in MySQL was really bad in the old times. And that's when people started to talk about NoSQL. There was, I think that the first post that triggered the NoSQL movement was Twitter starting to talk about we have to move to Cassandra because MySQL doesn't scale. But there's a use case that was used, actually MySQL could scale without Cassandra back then for that case. But anyway, we have fixed the replication issue. MariaDB nowadays replicates as fast as most of the NoSQL engines. But handling all the unstructured data, basically you have each row can has different kind of information. That's something that NoSQL is very, very good for. But I believe that NoSQL is a hype, but it has some usage, and especially there's lots of people who believe that we need NoSQL. So I think is that just to make life easier for everyone, we have to adopt some NoSQL things into MariaDB, because some of those works. When in hype, I mean that NoSQL is not for everybody. There's use cases when it's perfect, but trying to use it for everything, that doesn't work. So, and the the most common problem that SQL doesn't solve is that you can't basically do a web store efficiently with SQL because you can't store different attributes for each row. So you can't store a t-shirt and a computer easily with all attributes. So that's why we introduced dynamic columns in MariaDB 5.3. Anybody using the dynamic columns functions here? Okay. If you ever need unstructured data, try this out. This allows you to have each row in the table basically have a different set of columns. The idea is just to pack everything in a blob and have easy and really fast accessible methods to get those. And we are using this interface to do our storage engines for Cassandra, Level DB, and probably MongoDB when we will do that. Because we know SQL, each row can be different, and we solve that by all the fixed fields we have as fixed fields in MariaDB. It's all the dynamic stuff we produce you with a blob, and you can just use column list to see which columns are there and access any of those, either by number or by name. As you know, MySQL is not open source anymore, it's open core. As in the MySQL Enterprise, there are closed source features. I really dislike that, and because the whole notion with MySQL was back then, let's give something for the community, and we will get so much leverage of it that we don't need closed source features, and even had in the shared host agreement that the investors could never change that, until of course it was sold, and I was so happy that Sun was buying that because I didn't know that Sun would never add closed source features. Oracle is doing that, and in the foundation we had a commitment that anything that they do closed source, we will try to do open source. And probably the most important feature that Oracle implemented, actually they removed it from MySQL and made that the closed source features. They did improve on it. So what does the thread pool do? The problem is that if you're running with one thread per connection, which is default, after some 200 clients doing concurrent work, performance dropped drastically. Anybody seen that in practice? I've been on game companies, game companies who are complaining that, hey, we get this drop, what to do? And the reason is simple, that when you have lots and lots of threads that are doing work at the same time, all your CPU goes to thread switching, and you basically lose all power. But so instead of configuring the server to having a small set of threads, I think this was with 64 threads. So you basically don't get any degradation at all. So the problem with using pool of threads is that this is very good for short running queries. But if you have 64 long running queries, that means that the pool is full and nothing happens for the other ones. So that's why we in MariaDB added two solutions for that. The thread pool can actually for a short time allow some more, but only for a short time. But you can actually run with both at the same time, and it's just different TCP IP port that you connect with. So you can basically put your long running queries running on one port and have your web server that you know is short running queries for the other one, and you get the optimal performance that you can get from a server. This is certainly MariaDB. Anybody using pool of threads here? Okay, one. But if you have a web server, definitely you should configure it, because then you avoid the drop. So I will not go into detail at all, but this one it just shows that all the optimizations features we added to MariaDB 5.3, MySQL 5.5, which come out after 5.3, didn't add anything. In MySQL 5.6 they had fixed some things, and they basically added one feature that we didn't have in 5.3, and we had it in 10.0. So we have everything that MySQL 5.6 has, and much more. And the important thing is that we had the full optimizer team 3 persons, including me, who do actually created the initial optimizer and work on it from time to time, working full time on this one for 3 years. And Oracle early backported it from 5.6 and added minimum work. So that's why the optimizer MariaDB is so much stronger than MySQL. The newest version is 10.0. One very common question I get is, why 10.0, why not 5.6? And the reason is that we don't have everything that 5.6 has. In practice, you can just move from 5.6 to 10.0. You may have to change a couple options in the configuration file because we have different options, because we actually do things a little bit differently. But 99% in practice should work. I think we have about 8% of all the features, but we have all the important ones. So I didn't want to call it MariaDB 5.6 because people say that, okay, they be exactly the same. The other thing is that we are in so many ways so far in front of MySQL, just calling it 5.6 would also be a problem. So we just decided to just beat the bullet and call it 10.0 and just for each release tell what we are compatible with. In practice, we are compatible with 5.6. With 10.1 we will have everything from 5.6, but also things from 5.7. It also allows us to more easily build things from releases. And the other reason was that up to 5.5 we merged everything that MySQL did into MariaDB. We entered the code, fixed all the issues that they have accidentally introduced, because we do really good code review of everything that we put into MariaDB. The only code that we don't code review is in the DB. They trust Oracle, they have really excellent developers there. But we don't take any of the optimization code because we already have something much better. And with replication, we are very, very unhappy with the MySQL 5.6 code. We really think it's something that should never have been written, it's so bad, and we don't trust it. And the worst of all, we don't want to ever maintain that code because it's absolutely unmaintainable, both from logic point of view and from code quality point of view. So that's why we have put a lot of work with 10.0 of creating a better application than what MySQL has. And if somebody wants to see more in detail what I'm talking about, Christian Nielsen's blog talks about why this code in 5.6 is not usable. It's pretty funny and depressing read at the same time. So, moving to 10.0, if you're using 5.6, basically we are, as I said, compatible on disk, compatible on wire, and SQL syntax. So, it should be trivial. Anybody actually have any problem moving from MySQL to MariaDB? Okay. And I was asked that question now on 30 different conferences, and the group of MariaDB users has increased from a couple to about 10-15% nowadays. I'm very happy to see that not a single person have had any problems just moving. Of course there are bugs, but nothing that doesn't exist in MySQL, and usually things are working better. So I'm really happy because of that, because I think that's the best way I can prove to people that MariaDB actually works. If I can put up a statement and say that this works, anybody disapproves me and nobody does. So I'm really happy with that. I think we've done an incredible good job with the resources we have to produce MariaDB. So, all the features of MariaDB 10 quickly put. So we did backport all those things that we thought that these are really good, they are good implemented, they are sane, they work. All in the DB changes, performance schema. How many are using performance schema here? It's kind of useful. I think it's on by default in 5.6. If you're using 5.6, turn it off, because it takes up to 20% of your resources for using it. So it's really, really bad. And but it's very useful when you have something you want to install. So just put it on for a while, run, and then see what is it that actually takes place. So there's things in MySQL 5.6 that we didn't, we liked the feature, but we didn't like the implementation. It was either clunky or not good, or we could do it so much better. So we have no all error messages in MariaDB in 10.0. If there is ever an error number, there's always a description of the error also in the logs and everywhere. Something actually people have wanted a long time, so I just didn't like the MySQL 5.6 implementation because they did changes all over the code. I did changes in one place to get that done. So patches, it was a fraction of what they did. Global transaction ID and verification. Actually, that is also from the older slide. They are done and much better implementation. We added lots of features. Actually, starting to run out of time, so I will take this a little bit faster. But the most important one is we do have the online alta table, which I think is one of the best features in 5.6. We added lots of storage engines, Cassandra, Connect, DocuDB, Spider. We added roles, which actually got some people to come in to me and say, oh, no, we have a reason to switch to MariaDB. We have roles. We wanted that forever. Thank you. And that actually was done from the community. So, benefits, global transaction ID. It's always on, you can't turn it off, there's no reason you should turn it off. And why we did different one than MySQL 5.6, we wanted to have a same design that is easy to understand and easy to use, and we didn't like the way that MySQL had to remember every transaction that ever existed in any master. We don't think that's something that will work in the long run. And if you have also with MySQL, if you want to run, put up global transaction ID in your servers, you have to do it on all. You can't just put it on a slave. And in MariaDB, if you want to use global transaction ID, you can just have your one server, then you add the 10.0, and then you can move your slaves to the 10.0, and then you just change master, and it's done. So what global transaction ID gives you is that allows you to easily promote the slave to the new master. So if you can just easily move things around. Yes?
Is it the same GTID as in Clara?
No, but Clara is doing a 10.0 version. It's either complete, almost done, and they will basically work sanely with ours. But we need the global. Clara doesn't really need a global transaction ID because it actually is synchronous. But if you use two Clara clusters, they will use our global transaction IDs between the clusters. Okay. And we also support things that we believe is important, multiple replication with different domain. I will come to that. And replication I think is one of the most important features in 10.0. We already had a lot of things executing in parallel in early versions. If you do multi-source, you have lots of masters, then you have one slave, and it can replicate from all the different masters. On the slave, every single master thread is executed in parallel. If you use different domains, and I will come to that, they can also be executed in parallel. So if you have three masters, basically what you should do is you configure these to be different domains, 1, 2, or 3, for example. That means the slave can run those in parallel, can do it anyway. Because they're different domains, if you put the slave under the slave, it will know that all these things did come from different domains, so the next slave can also run things in parallel. And that's why the domains are important, for those who want to do complex things, or if you want to do a ring of masters. But thanks to the group commit that we added for the first time in MySQL and MariaDB history, actually the slave can be faster than the master. And I will have some nice benchmark of that. So, in MySQL 5.5 and earlier, things are single-threaded on the slave. In 5.6, it's single-threaded if you use one database. If you use multiple databases, they're running parallel. But looking at the normal case, basically, assuming you have a master who can do 500 transactions per second, actually a slave who can do that. In MySQL or MariaDB 5.5, we basically, the slave would do that maximum number of transactions per second can do. With MariaDB 10, you can just increase the number of threads doing the work, and you get much better performance up to 10x speed without any change in your application whatsoever. And the idea with this is that everything that was group committed on the master can be run in parallel on the slave. And the different graphs are, the blue one is your totally crash-proof slave. If you take the slave down at any moment and take it up, you just continue, you never lose anything. And the yellow one is that you have a slave who has no bin log. In other words, you can't have a slave on the slave. But actually, and it's non-durable. In other words, you turn off syncing and stuff. Still not much better. So there's no reason at all to not go with the blue line and get maximum performance and still be able to do replicas on the slave, which is very nice if you're doing backups. So this is the same information but different benchmark. So this is the number of connections on the master. This is speed relative to the master. So, and how we did that was that we executed things for 1 minute on the master with different number of connections, doing lots of stuff, and then we copied the bin log to the slave and measured how long time does it take for the slave to process it. So if you just run 1 or 2 threads on the master, actually the slave can be up to 10x faster than the master. And the interesting thing is that this is not because of group commit, because a group commit only helps if you're running lots of things at the same time in the master and you're committing things in a group. So the reason for that is that we added an optimization that while we are doing the commit on the slave, as soon as everything is ready for commit, we can already start the next question running. Because we know that there will be no blocks or new locks needed for the current data. And this is the number of threads on the slave. So if you only have 1 thread on the slave, we can still do something faster, but the more things that the master can do in parallel, the lower the comparison is to the master. But if you run, for example, with 16 threads, in this case we are always above 100%. So with 16 threads, we can keep up with the master in spite of how many concurrent clients it has, which is pretty nice. So we have lots of things planned for 10.0. I will not go into these because at the time we need to have the next speaker come up, but everything what's planned for 10.0 depends on either people sponsoring the foundation or or SkySQL works with SkySQL to get this implemented, and SkySQL because they actually do work implementations for MariaDB and everything they do is open source, or you implement it and you come to the foundation, please review and put it in. That's the way that things are actually happening. So we have lots of ideas that we want to do. We also have done a lot of work to do LGPL clients. We just released yesterday a new ODBC driver that is LGPL, and these are the reason these are important. That there's lots of companies who want to ship applications who can use MySQL, but they don't need to. But the problem, if you use an Oracle's driver, Oracle will say that you have to pay for them or you have to become GPL. So there's lots of people who actually abandoned MySQL and MariaDB just because they can't ship an application who uses it. With these drivers, you don't have the problem anymore. We are working closely with TokuDB. It's a standard engine inside of MariaDB, and it has a really nice performance. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the TokuDB speaker today because they are sponsored at Percona, and Percona forbids anybody who sponsors them to be on any other event at the same time, which I think is unfortunate. And I will have a heated discussion with Peter to change that next year. The Connect storage engine, actually, who is using TokuDB here?
Okay. I tried it.
Yeah. And you are happy with it? And do you get better performance than MariaDB for your things?
I actually I have a specific case, and I really tried to use different cases. So the backend was all flash. So on flash devices, the SSDs, with all the indexes, native InnoDB is faster than TokuDB.
In that case, okay?
Yeah. So I tested everybody, and I gave the Toku themselves, so maybe you can look at indexing. So their answer was that Toku performs better with the spinning tests.
Okay.
So I tried, but that's kind of my...
And your test case was, what kind of performance did you get? Or why are you using it? Yeah, you.
We're just using it for archive purpose.
Yeah.
Our archive database converted to TokuDB, and we reduced about 1.5 of the space.
Okay, so space was important. They're doing really good compression with TokuDB.
Yeah, natively compressed, yes.
Yeah. So Connect Engine is something that is really, really intriguing because it gives you possibilities that was totally impossible before. With TokuDB you can access a lot of various formats, but you can also use ODBC to go to other databases. So by using the Connect Engine, you can do a join between tables that are stored in legacy databases like Oracle or Postgres and MariaDB at the same time. Really, really nice. And it actually adds also indexes on the fly. So if you have a CVS engine in MySQL or MariaDB, it's only for writing. This one can also do updates, creates automatically indexes on the fly. So you can actually use CVS without having to convert it to something else. We are working a lot to get the free documentation, especially about MariaDB, but also MySQL and SQL 99. Every single feature that we add to MariaDB, we add extensive documentation to knowledge base. And we have one documentation writer that works full time to ensure that everything is documented. MySQL documentation is really, really good. We spent 10 years creating it. It will take us a long time to recreate it, but the nice thing with the knowledge base is that it's free, anybody can help us, and the best thing is that if there's something that's missing, you can ask a question in the section where the answer should have been, and you will get the answer almost immediately. And that way the documentation grows. I haven't seen, this is kind of a forum on steroids, and I haven't seen at any point in time more than 10 unanswered questions there. And I don't think you can see that on any other forum ever in any other place. So, MariaDB is not only a project run by me and SkySQL, there's also lots of other people involved. I'm working at the foundation, my job is to get a lot of other people involved. I'm very happy to see that Google is committed to work on and use MariaDB. We have lots of activity. Anybody can go and discuss with all the developers. We are all on Freenode #Maria, and if you have an issue, you can come here and ask, and you will get help. So the whole MariaDB team, like it was in MySQL, is totally virtual. We are working in different places. All communication we do is through Freenode, and anybody can be participating in that. So if you want to work outside of our team on MariaDB, you can just join us. It's very, very easy. And during the last year, MariaDB had got lots of adoption. It actually started with me creating a MariaDB Foundation, and I actually tried getting companies to participate. Wikipedia said that we want to help, and they asked how they can help. I said, how about move it to MariaDB? We will give you free support, anything you need. And to move it, they said, okay, we can try. Then they noticed that it actually worked, much better than before. They asked us one question in the move, and it actually was a feature request. And during last year, all the distributions, either including MariaDB or has MariaDB as default. The only one who hasn't as default is Ubuntu. And we are really happy that Red Hat Enterprise is using MariaDB as a default. Basically gives us a stamp of approval that it's not a toy, it actually verified it works. Reason to switch to MariaDB, as most of you here are used to MariaDB, it's not so much to say. I think that the simple story is there's no reason to use MySQL anymore. None. Of course, if you trust Oracle and you like the prices, then of course. And still, I'm very grateful for Oracle because they actually has made MariaDB 10 possible because of the excellent work they have done on MariaDB and some other parts. SkySQL was implementing global transaction ID, Clara application, a lot of other interesting features. The foundation, we did a merge with 10.0. We have lots of the community work has come through the foundation. I was also involved in the parallel application and in multi-source myself. And the Connect engine goes for Oliver Bertrand in France. It took me 3 years to convince him to make it open source. And it was thanks to the foundation that he actually could do that. And some things that we do also do in the foundation, we actually are committed to pay Oliver Bertrand some money for the work he's doing because he's working full-time on the Connect engine. He doesn't have any other work and nobody's paying him for that, which I think is unfortunate. And we need to be able to have full-time developers working on open source. And the Connect engine is a perfect example of why it doesn't work. Why we need foundations that actually can collect money and flush it to developers who can't get money otherwise. Spider by Tuku, who will be up next here. Multi-source replication, Linux paying in the original implementation, and I spent 1 week to make it production ready and get it into MariaDB. And draws by Vicente Kiorbaru. Sorry for the pronunciation. So, questions? What did I mean? What was it that you wanted to know and you didn't get to know? There actually are people here. They're very shy. That's for the YouTube audience. Michael?
Gentlemen had a question about the foundation.
Who had a question about the foundation?
You said I'm going to cover it in my talk.
I think I covered the foundation in my talk, what we are doing. I think we're doing the right thing. Committed to continue as long as we have the energy to do that. I have no reason to stop. So, Alex?
I have more of a, not just much a question, but as a comment. Those two features, the Connect engine and multi-source replication, I think those were really needed. You know, right now if we migrating, for example, from different platform to MariaDB, you have the capability with Connect engine to do so.
Yeah.
And that means you can actually connect, keep your databases up to date. So this is a typical issue. I migrated lots of Postgres, I migrated a lot of Postgres deployments previously to Maria. It was painful. So I can see this thing definitely help. You know, and then multi-source replication is a massive help because it was very difficult to consolidate the data. So think about this, you take your data, you shard it up, right? But then you want to do the reporting, you can't, because now you have to consolidate the entire thing. So this multi-source replication is really widow, because you consolidate all the sharded data for centralized reporting. So it's a really awesome feature. And I used to try to duplicate with some different tricks and stuff like that, but this is really good. You know?
And so the one interesting thing that is happening a lot in the companies I visit, the cloud has changed one thing with the databases, has changed the fact that you can't run the commercial databases in the cloud. It's too expensive because you have to pay license fee for the maximum clients that you may spin up. That's totally ridiculous. So there are lots of companies who have come to talking with me and ask, so how can we get rid of these license fees? And of course, moving to MariaDB will help. It's always a hassle to move. So the Connect engine can help you with this, that you can move some of your applications to MariaDB, but even if you still have some of your data in Oracle or SQL Server or something else, you can access it through one interface and actually do joins and updates. So this really helps you moving things. And also it's very easy to duplicate a table. You do a create table, with Connect, you can auto-discover a table from Oracle, and then you do inserts, create, select from the table, and you have it in MariaDB. So really trivial to move data.
Does it replicate from Oracle to Mari automatically?
No, it doesn't, because it is not a replication. This is that direct access to data that is in other databases trying to be seen.
Oh, okay. Is that a view or a table?
It's a table.
It's a table.
Yeah. So it looks like a table. You can use it as a MariaDB table. Okay. It's not as fast because you have the connection now. The DBC layer reduces about 20% the performance.
Okay.
But for export or ad hoc queries, it's beautiful.
Yeah, okay. It's good for long-running queries also?
Depending on how you're doing it, because we do push down conditions to it, but we don't do push down joins.
Okay.
So if you do something with one query and then you join with another one, the join happens through MariaDB, in which case is not efficient. It works but not efficient. But if you're just running something to fetch something from one table and then join the MariaDB table, then it's perfect.
Is there any condition push down in that example?
Yes. We push everything that is related to that one table that we can do. Of course, we can't push down a field, but any constants are pushed down. The guy, Sergey, was it you or Timur who implemented the push down? First version.
Which kind of?
A push down of conditions.
Into
index.
Into index. The table condition push down.
Yeah.
Well, I did the SQL layer part, and NDB cluster team did their part.
Okay, so.
Because it was NDB cluster.
Yeah. And I think that Bar should have worked with Olivier to get condition push down for the connect.
Doesn't it support it already?
I think it supports.
It does support, yes.
Yeah, I'm reasonably sure. Okay, so next speaker.